Hey guys, it's masatonic. I'm bilingual Harukist. 皆さん、こんにちは。バイリンガルハルキストのmasatonic です。Haruki Murakami, book guide short story 25, Hunting Knife. In this video, I'd like to talk about this short story, Hunting Knife. In many ways, Hunting Knife is very interesting story. In one way, Hunting Knife's characters are American. Actually, the protagonist or narrator is maybe Japanese, but as a character, some people are featured in this short novel uh, as a characters are American. So in a way, maybe their conversation took place in English. So when you read this novel in the English edition, it's very, how to say, normal because every sentence is written in English. So if the characters the conversation took place in English, it's so natural. But when a Japanese reader in this original text in Japanese, it's their conversation literally took place in Japanese or depicted in Japanese. But apparently, their conversation should have taken in English because the maybe stage is not in Japan. Perhaps my guess is in Hawaii, and then um, even protagonist is a Japanese. Still, so many other characters is say hi to him in naturally. So maybe their language should have English. So maybe the conversation has took place in English. So in a way, to the English reader, it's supernatural, but in Japanese reader, quite when readers think about it, what language they should use, the situation is a little bit complicated. But in a way, those someone who read English reader, maybe it's very much interesting because sometimes Americans or some not Japanese characters are featured in Murakami's novel, but it's one rare case. The Americans character featured and their conversation is very took an important role in a short story. So if you're interested in, please take a look at it. So let's get started. As always, this video consists of three parts. First, overview, and second, story, and third, deep reading or reading tips for me. So first, overview. This work firstly appeared in the New Yorker in 2003, November. And after that, contained in Blindwillowsleepingwoman, Sleeping Woman. It's a short story collection in 2007, July. But in Japan, this works contained in the Death of Hateful Carousel. This is another collection of short story in 1985 in October. So this is Murakami's kind of very first stage of his career. So maybe it's just my guess. He wanted to do some literary experiment. So maybe in this case, two parts. First is conversation in English, written in Japanese. That bit complicated. But and also as a other thing is conversation is a key part in the story. Not something episode happen. So on. It's the main theme is not a story, but much more focused on the conversation. Is one way to make a novel. So in a way, this is from that perspective. It's a kind of literary experiment from his in his early stage of his career. That's only my guess, but this is the overview of the short story. So what kind of story is this? Um, as I said, main character or narrator himself is Japanese, I or Boku, and his wife. This is on Japanese people, but another characters are American. One is the ex-stewardess woman. She is American, and also man in the wheelchair and his mother. They are also American. So, maybe so we could call main characters are American except protagonist. And then stage is actually not really mentioned where's the stage, where's the location in this novel, but only depicted the beachside cottage, and then main character and the wife visited there as a vacation trip. So we could read this is some Japanese beach where so many Americans visited. It's all maybe their situation could be happen, but may from my guess maybe this is not the stage is not Japan, but somewhere in American place. Maybe in my guess is a that one Hawaii, or maybe Hawaii. That's my guess. So if you see if you have another idea of this location, please give me feedback on comment area. But anyway, so this is how somewhere in at the beach side in the where so many Americans are gathered, and then protagonist and his wife stayed in some beachside cottage, and in same cottage, these two Americans are also also there, and they spend a few days in as a vacation, and the kind of the day before last day, well, leaving day, protagonist took a final swim in the beach, and then when he swim to the buoy in the buoy or buoy, I don't know how to put it, on the beach on the sea, and he swam to the buoy, and then when he climbed up climbed at it, there are some American woman there, and she say hi to him, maybe in English, and then started their conversation. They had a conversation, and they talked about her kind of life, what kind of a how to say person she was. As they told, she is ex-stewardess woman, and also she had experience of a divorce, and some kind of that kind of quick chat they did. And after that, protagonist returned to cottage and conversation with the wife. And uh, when when he slept at midnight, he just wake up at the midnight because something prevent him from keep on sleeping. And during midnight, he started to going outside on the outside of the she said cottage, and there are some beachside bar near beside the cottage, and there there he found mind the wheelchair is there sitting quietly, and before he how to say he hesitated to talk to him, the mind the wheelchair say hi to him, good evening, like that. So maybe naturally the conversation took in English, and then and so the conversation is basically most important part of this novel. And they are firstly talking about he and his mother's kind of life, what kind of life they had spent. And also he talked about rien. Rien is written in French, but in English they depicted nothingness. So he talked about that the concept of nothingness as quoting Debussy. So Debussy mentioned about nothingness or rien, and he searched for such a nothingness, Debussy, as he told. And also, man in the wheelchair is mentioned about his concept of nothingness. And after that, they talked about hunting knife. So here's the title is featured hunting knife because he, man the wheelchair, purchased a hunting knife from kind of it's not the online sales, but I'd say something like a catalog um, how to say purchase, and then uh, he showed protagonist his hunting knife, and then, what is think about it? He asked him, "What is think about it?" It's a very interesting question, and I checked the hunting knife, and I thought, oh, this is very great item, and then he asked him, please cut something, whatever you want. And of course, I firstly surprised there he's asking, but I did try to cut something, say something he could find it around the beachside bar, and then finally he just simply cut the air, something like that. And then after that, they had a conversation about hunting knife. Finally, man in the wheelchair talked about his dream about hunting knife, and then story had ended at um his how to say uh, his hunting knife dream story. The story ended. So basically, location beachside, but almost nothing happened. Only thing is, protagonist met the ex-stewardess women and the man in the wheelchair and had a conversation. There is basically everything happened in this story. So basically, the conversation, firstly with the ex-stewardess women, and also man in the wheelchair is very, almost the main, how to say, contents of this story. So how should we enjoy it or deep reading? First thing is, let's think about meaning of conversation with ex-stewardess women. Um, Obviously, their conversation had some meaning, because if really conversation had doesn't have a meaning, because that kind of thing is should not exist in this very short story. If some conversation exist or feature, their conversation could have some meaning. In this case, their conversation with American women, ex-stewardess women, took place in how to say daytime on the beach, especially uh, on the buoy in the around the sea is one key point. It's kind of very contrast, and because more other conversation with the man in the wheelchair is took place on the land, and also midnight. The situation is completely opposite. Maybe so in a way, the content of conversation itself could be should have a contrast. So and that contrast means what kind of meaning they could have is a very key, interesting way to think about the deep understanding of this novel. So let's think about the conversation with American woman. And also, let's think about nothingness, or in French, rien, with listening Debussy, because the mind of chair mentioned about Debussy. So let's listen. Debussy is a very my usual way of how to say deeply enjoying the novel is with five senses. So in this case, maybe we should use the power of listening. So let's listen Debussy and let's think about nothingness. What is nothingness? Why the man in wheelchair, American man, think about nothingness is maybe nothingness or rain is very much in key word in this novel. And also most important word is hunting knife, the title. Let's think about it, hunting knife. What's the hunting knife has a key role? What kind of role this item have in this novel is it's a literary key to understand this interesting short story. So let's think about it. And if you have hunting knife, let's please take a look at it. I unfortunately or fortunately I didn't have a hunting knife though, but maybe like I said, with five senses is very much, or with very much imagination, is one way to enjoy these short novels with five senses. Is So let's think about hunting knife. It's very much interesting way. So that's all. Thank you for watching my video about a Murakami short story, Hunting Knife. If you like it, or um, I I hope this video would make you want to read or read again this interesting short story. So if you like it, I would appreciate for subscribing my channel or giving me a good rate. And if you have any comment or feedback, let's give me a comment on this comments section. Right. So like this, I posted a 2 to 3 videos per week about Murakami's novel or works. So I hope you subscribe my channel, and then let's see next video. See you. Bye then.